It was here in 1517 that Martin Luther nailed his 95 Theses to the door of All Saints' Church in Wittenberg, marking the beginning of the Protestant Reformation. 500 years ago, the town on the Elbe River was the intellectual center of the Reformation movement. It was not only home to Martin Luther, but also to his fellow reformer, Philipp Melanchthon. In the old town, time appears to have stood still. All Saints' Church is the city's most popular attraction, and it's also where Luther is buried. He lived here in this former monastery for 38 years. The electorate of Saxony gave its empty residence halls to the Luther family. There was also plenty of space to house students and visitors.
In the former monastery, what became the Luther house, there was quite a lot of commotion, because not only Luther's family with the 4 children lived there, but also quite a lot of servants, and even more important, the students as paying guests.
Luther's wife, Katharina von Bora, oversaw all the comings and goings at the house. Students would assemble at his home to listen to the Protestant reformers' famous table talks. And the guests would gather for meals in the refectory. About 1.5 hours' drive from Wittenberg is the town of Eisleben. This is Martin Luther's birthplace. It's also where he died. The local copper mines made it a prosperous town. Luther's father worked in the copper trade. It was here, from this very pulpit in St. Andrew's Church, that Luther preached his last sermons. This is the house where Luther was born in 1483. It's the oldest historical museum in Germany.
Luther's birth house is the first memorial place for Luther in Germany. It was already established in 1693 as a memorial place with a museum, and from this time the house is open to public, to Luther pilgrims from all over the world.
The museum has plenty of exhibits to look at, and for kids, plenty to taste. Young visitors can treat themselves to a historical meal of bread with honey, butter, and fresh cheese with herbs. In Luther's day, potatoes weren't grown in Germany, and meals were eaten without a fork because they were considered a tool of the devil. Next stop is Eisenach in Thüringen, another small town that changed the course of history. At age 15, Luther came here to attend the Latin school. He stayed for 3 years, living in this half-timbered house. At that time, he was still completely unknown, but 20 years later, he was a famous theologian and dared to challenge the authority of the Pope. He was excommunicated from the Roman Catholic Church in 1521 as a result, and sought refuge in Wartburg Castle near Eisenach. Today, it attracts 500,000 visitors every year. It's one of the oldest and most beautiful castles in Germany, and boasts a truly magnificent banquet hall. It was also where the legendary minstrels contests are said to have taken place. The Luther Room is where the reformer spent just 10 weeks translating the New Testament into German.
The first print run of 3,000 copies sold out in 3 days when it was presented at the Leipzig Fair in September of 1522. The next print run appeared in December. Just before he died, Luther saw the millionth copy of his translation printed. We can assume that anyone between Felsenburg and Tyrol who could read had a copy of Luther's Bible.
This is also the room where Martin Luther is said to have thrown an ink bottle at the devil. Over the centuries, pilgrims have scratched at the stain on the wall, peeling parts of it off. Souvenirs were popular even then. But this bronze memorial won't be leaving Eisenach. It's much too large and heavy to take home.